Hello, my name is Sean McGibbon. I'm a staff member at the Hostel Shoppe, a local bike shop in Stevens Point here. We're on university campus, going to be going over the fix-it station that they have on here. I'm here with John, our head mechanic at the shop. He's going to go over a few things that you can do on the fix-it station here.
So first thing we got.
So we got a flat tire here, so John's going to go through the steps to fixing that up. Slide your C-post right into the two things right there.
Yeah, here we go. Talk about the valve stems.
So there's two different types of valve stems in the bike industry. There's Schrader, which we have here. That's a thicker one. It's like a car valve. And then there's Presta, the skinnier one. This pump that the fix-it station is provided with, it can do both. So don't have to worry about that. So John's just going to locate his valve stem. He's just going to push the nozzle onto the valve stem, and then he's going to pull that lever up, which secures an airtight seal on it. Give it a few pumps. If you feel resistance, that's okay, that's normal. If it feels like it's not going in there, then you might have to remove the nozzle and push it in a little bit farther, which John's doing. The goal to push it on as far as it'll go to get it to push that pin and open up the air system. We usually recommend to go to a proper PSI, but if they don't have a tire gauge on the PSI gauge on this, that's okay. Just go till, you know, it's firm enough to where it doesn't deform too much when you pinch the tire.
Alright, chain.
Alright, now we're looking at chain. John's gonna go through the gears quick. Just making sure that each click, the chain moves somewhat effortlessly and consistently. I'll make a note that when you have multiple gears like this, you typically don't want to be in your biggest ring here and then your biggest ring in the back, or vice versa, small. That's called cross train. That puts a lot of stress and wear on the chain of the drivetrain, so just be aware of that. We're gonna lube the chain. That's a thing that we recommend to do every other ride or so. Wipe down your chain of excess dirt and grit.
Especially if your bike's outside.
Yeah, especially when it's out in the weather, out in the elements. Do a couple cycles backwards while lubing the chain. Let it sit for a second, then wipe off the excess. That'll prevent your chain from getting rusty, getting hard and stiff, and it'll increase the lifespan of your drivetrain.
Yeah, we're going to adjust the front grid.
So John's going to use one of the flatheads here. You can use the flathead or the Phillips head that's provided on the fix-it station. He's going to make an adjustment on the front derailleur. So the screws that he's messing with are called limit screws. Those adjust how far the derailleur can be moved to prevent overshifting or undershifting.
Good.
All right, John's satisfied with the drivetrain.
Pedal wrench.
Now he's going to use the 15 mil wrench that they provide and just check that the pedals are tight. You can use the opposite crank arm as leverage and make sure that your pedals are tight.
Make sure you go the right way. Cool. Tire.
Making sure that the hubs are tight, brakes work.
hose is only so long, you kind of got to spin the bike around.
Gonna pump up the rear tire. And another neat thing about this fix-it station is it has a little QR scan code here. You just put your camera phone right up to it. It'll send you to a link that provides all the information on things that you need to fix. Just put up your camera to it, open the link, and it's got everything you need there. Repairing a flat, YouTube video, inflating tires, adjusting gears, adjusting V-brakes, which we did. So all that kind of stuff right there at your fingertips. We're gonna go over how to swap out a flat inner tube. So you're riding along or you come out to your bike, you find it that the tire's gone flat. Well, you either try pumping it up, and if it's not holding, then you got a flat inner tube. So that's either a puncture that went wrong or something else pierced it, and you're gonna have to swap that out. It's pretty simple. You're gonna need at least 1 or 2 tools. A tire lever is one. We like the plastic ones so they protect the rim a little bit better. But they do make metal ones too, as they have on the fix-it station. That makes it easier to get underneath the tire, but just be careful about your rim. And there you go. So the bead is now hanging off the rim, so you can pull that open and you see the inner tube in there. So what he's gonna go after first is the valve stem. He's gonna release that out of the hole and then pull the whole inner tube out. Now this is a fresh inner tube, so we're just gonna use that as the new one. Yeah, typically we do a kind of a little investigation, pump up the one that's got a puncture and see where the hole is, and then we will relate it back to the wheel here and see if there's anything poking in the tire or the rim that could have caused that puncture.
But also then putting it back in, we put a little air.
And we typically put a little bit of air in the new inner tube. It makes it easier for installing. So he's gonna find the valve hole in the rim, and then he's just gonna plug that valve stem in there. You can leave the tire on when you do this. One side of the bead is in the rim. And then he's just gonna go around and push that inner tube into the tire. Try to push it deep past the rim. You don't want the tire bead in between, pinching the inner tube in between it and the rim. So just push it deep into the tire.
And what's that you're putting on the valve?
That's a little O-ring, threads on there. If you have a Presta valve or a higher end Schrader valve, that'll have that. It just helps when you push the
valve stem doesn't go into the rim.
Gotcha.
Push the pump on it, the valve stem doesn't push into the rim. It's not necessary, but it's kind of nice. So now he's just gonna go around the rim and just push the bead, the tire bead, into the rim itself. Try to get it central. You might have to let out a little bit of air to give him some more room. Then he comes to a point where he's got a last little bit here, and he's just gonna go side to side, pushing and tugging at the tire to get that bead over the rim. He's gonna let out a little bit more air.
It's easier when it's dry.
And yes, in dry conditions, it is a little bit more grippy. Well, he's got it, so there you go.
Ta-da!
The bead is on, the new inner tube is in. He's gonna pump it up. You definitely wanna go kind of slow and make sure that you don't see any major deformations where the tube would be, pushing the tire out more than other spots. That's a sign that you need to stop, let air out, and kind of reset the tire and bead. So that's looking pretty flush all the way around. So you can kind of see the bead of the tire. It's just this kind of very thin rubberized line, and you want to make sure that's fairly even around and visible around the rim. If there's a spot that's poking out more so than others, then that's a good sign that the inner tube's kind of stuck, and that'll cause a flat. If it's in more than other spots, that's okay. You just want to pump it up a little bit more, add a little bit more PSI. And there you go. That's how to fix a flat.